Alan Stratton from As Wood Turns. Today I'm going to finish turn a bowl that I rough turned some time ago from green wood, in this case plum wood. The bowl is now dry as it's ever going to be. It's going to be an interesting bowl. It dried unevenly, which is fairly typical. Half inch more across the grain than with the grain, both in terms of the overall width and the overall and the length of the bowl now that it's oblong. Because of the difference, it does have a splitting crack along here that I'll address. I think I'll address this just with sawdust and CA glue. And it does have a bark inclusion or something interesting going on here. And it's very light rotted wood. We'll have to see how much of that will actually survive the case. And then another small crack over here that I think will just turn out or maybe reinforce with CA glue. In the case, we'll see how this bowl, plum, and how it turns out.
Due to the rot on one side of the bowl and the risk of bugs residing in that area, I microwaved the bowl to kill the bugs. 4 minutes at 80% power got the bowl very hot to the touch and should have done in any little nasties that may have been living in there. Microwave did not generate any new checks or cracks or warpage since the bowl was so dry already. When remounting this bowl, it almost did not fit the chuck due to the shrinkage. The smaller dimension of the oval tenon was too small. The larger tension was still barely okay. So it's almost in the no man's land between jaw sizes. So I chucked it up anyway, but with the chuck mounting less secure than I'd like, I definitely wanted the tailstock in place. And to avoid any additional markings that I couldn't turn out, I used the flat top of the drill truck to hold the bowl against the chuck jaws. Once on the lathe, I could see just how misshapen the bowl actually was. It shrunk unevenly in every dimension, and just getting this thing true again was quite the challenge. And the plum turned out to be extremely hard and difficult to tool. I reinforced the rotten area with CA glue. A lot of it chipped out, but there was enough left in the area that with a little reinforcement it's nice and solid at this point. The downside of using CA there and in another area that I used it in was that when I was sanding, the CA glue generated some very nasty fumes. My eyes started to burn, and I actually had to take a break outside of the shop area to give my eyes time to recover and some fresh air, let the CA glue cure just a little bit more. The lip I had envisioned when I rough turned this bowl did not survive the shrinkage. I had to tool it off and just take it back to a basic vertical edge. I left just a little bit of a triangle shape there to make it nice. Once I started sanding, I put a paper towel below the bowl, and even though I had my air cleaner on, the paper towel did capture enough sawdust that was more than enough to fill the crack, although it turned out to be darker sawdust once it was cured than the area of the bowl that I patched. In the end, it shows fine. But I captured the dust, filled the crack, tamped it down with a chisel. I should have done more tamping and probably with another tool than my chisel. One was very careful to not glue my fingers to the bowl, but it turned out nice and full. It just could have been tamped just a tad better. I switched from my gouge to a heavy bowl scraper, and for the lip area, a round-nosed scraper. I cut out a lot of the sanding. I had to do a lot of sanding. It's not the area that I want to show or illustrate too much. But carefully fill it and work the glue in there. Used a vacuum chuck to hold the bowl. But one thing I did not realize until much later, because I had a hard time getting the bowl trued up when I was turning the foot, and kept getting out of round. In retrospect, I should have realized that it was not shifting. The tailstock actually did keep the center there, so that helped, but the bowl was shifting just a little bit on the vacuum chuck. And in the end, my vacuum pump actually failed. I don't think it was holding at all. I like to turn the foot so that it has a recess in there. It just is more pleasing to the eye. Feels more finished. Sits better on a table when it's on a tabletop. And I just like it better than a flat bowl. I did keep the tailstock in until the very, very end on this one. Undercut it a little bit, and then took a chisel and chiseled off the last little nub, and then sanded that area again. The hardness of the plum wood, it was actually harder than many other woods. Normally I finish the inside before I do the foot. On this one, due to the crack that was coming clear through, I decided to wait until the bowl was completely turned to do any finishing. And in the end, I think it turned out very nice. It's a beautiful piece of wood. The bark inclusion adds a nice bit of character touch, and the other crack is just part of turning green wood and what you have to do. I like it.